Hello everyone! So today I'm going to show you how I mix some of my custom paints. Now you guys have been asking how I mix my paints more specifically. So this is a custom color palette that I'm making with peacock colors. Look at all the pretty colors I'm going to use. The cool part about this tutorial, I'm using soft body paints, the craft paints. I'm using, those are from Art Minds, which they're awesome, the brushed metallics. I'm using golden heavy body and Deco Art heavy body paints. And I'm also going to use some fluid acrylics. So you really will get to see the whole panel of different textures. I'm going to use the Floetrol and the golden gloss pouring medium. And then also Winsor and Newton gloss medium, and I just used these little like 3-ounce cups. So the first thing is the soft body paint. The main thing is this craft paint is, I believe it's pretty superior to some of the brands. That's the aquamarine, because of the beautiful shimmers and the beautiful color palettes that they have, the options you can buy. So I really do like the Art Minds soft body paints, and you can see that I put, if that's a 3-ounce cup, I'm basically filling my cup about 1/3 of the way full with the soft body paints. Now the one thing I wanted to tell you is that when you're doing, when you're painting and you're using all different brands, that's the peridot. That's my birthday color. Actually, look at that green. Oh, it is so pretty. That's definitely a peacock color if I've ever seen one. So, but if you're using all the different brands of paint, that means all the different textures of paint and viscosities. You really need to know your paints. You need to know your consistencies, and that's hard to show sometimes because with different brands, you're going to need different amounts. And also, the reality is sometimes you mix them a little differently to get some different results. So you might mix them thinner if you want them to mix a little bit. You might mix them thicker if you want to show specific lines and patterns. And if you're looking for cells, you might make the metallics a little bit thicker. Look at that turquoise. Oh my gosh. I love that. So now I'm going to show you that was all the soft body paints. This is the fluid acrylics. Fluid. See, I'm pointing to fluid, not flow, but fluid acrylics. They have the consistency of heavy cream. And you see, I just use a tiny bit. So where the soft body paints, I might have put my cup 1/3 of the way full. The fluid acrylics, I use maybe just 1/4 of the way full of that cup. Unless I want a deeper color, I'll use a little bit more. And this is the Golden Panes Gray Heavy Body. This stuff is awesome. That jar was a gift from Mina. So I love you, Mina. I love this jar of paint. It's like pudding. It's like Payne's Gray pudding. I want to show you the texture here because look at that. Oh, it's so creamy and rich and full of pigment and lovely. And it dries almost exactly the same color. You get very, very little color shift with Golden Brand. Golden Brand, although I haven't tried some of the more expensive brands, I've tried a lot of brands of paint. And I'm going to tell you, the Golden across the board of any I've tried is the most steadfast in the color. Very little color shift when they dry. And so here's a Deco Art Texture paint. It's a dimensional paint. You'll see it's a heavy body paint as well. And this was given to me, so I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. But when you open it up, it almost has the same consistency as the Golden. So very, very rich. Look at that. Oh, it's luscious. I love that texture. It's so crazy how excited we get over paint. But honestly, look at that. it just looks like, it just looks luxurious. And it's a little harder to mix, the heavy body paints are. So now I'm going to customize all the colors. And so I use different things to shift the colors. I'm going to use a little bit of this manganese blue hue to shift the blue and deepen the tone of the art mines. Now, this is not something you have to do, but as you go along and become, oh, look at that color. See, that's why I do it. The darkness of the richness of the pigments of the golden added with the metallic, the brush metallic of the art mines, it gives an incredible depth to the paint. And you can see that right there. Here I'm going to shift the fluid, a little bit of that cobalt blue in the aquamarine color of the soft body. So I'm using fluid acrylics to shift the colors and deepen the pigment load of the art mines. Like I said, you don't have to, but look at that. It really, really adds a depth that you just can't get. And also there's a tone I'm looking for, a specific tone. You can shift your colors with pigments. I recommend, these are color art, and this is Leslie Onstad's beautiful and amazing pigments for resin, and for, she has a polypore blend that she likes us to use with her pigments, but I cheat sometimes and add them straight to my paints, especially this one. This is called Bling It, and it just adds a little, you can't tell yet, but when I actually make the paint up, you'll see how rich it becomes with those little sparkles in it. Here's another, this is Primary Elements, some of Leslie's art pigments. That's the peacock color, and look at that beautiful, beautiful color. I'm going to add a little bit of that into the, oh my gosh. I know it sounds so ridiculous, but how could you not just love that color? Look at it. It's, oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And her pigments are amazing. Then this is me shifting the colors with fluids again. So I used some on the peridot. I wanted to kind of deepen that color, and so I used some phthalo green, I believe it was, of the fluids mixed in there. And look at that now. And then I took some gloss medium. Now this Galleria acrylic Winsor & Newton gloss medium, it's awesome if you need to thicken up your paint a little bit, and also if you want to add some shine. So that's one thing about using Floetrol, is it is not glossy. It's not meant to be glossy. It's a matte finish. So sometimes I'll add this little shot of gloss medium in my colors before the Floetrol, and it just gives my final results that little gloss that I'm looking for. Now I'm filling with Floetrol, and look how thick and creamy it is. Okay, so any of you who know, I've been having Floetrol woes. So I finally ordered off Amazon, and I got 2 bottles, and it was thick and luscious and perfect. So I'm very, 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 very excited. I was very excited to paint this day. And you can see I fill, after that little shot of gloss medium, I'm basically filling the cups about 3/4 of the way full. Now, obviously the soft body paints are pretty easy to mix. You don't have to do a ton of stirring. The colors come together pretty well. But here's like the heavy body. You see me gripping the cup. I'm literally pushing the thick pudding-like paint up against the sides of the cup there. Now you see that Payne's Gray getting a tiny bit lighter, but it's just the Floetrol and it will correct itself when it dries. So I want to add a little bit of shine to that Payne's Gray, so I add a little bit of the color, the golden pouring medium. The golden pouring medium is too thin for me to use with my fluid, so I have to use it with heavy body paints for the most part. It's great with heavy body paints. So if you have heavy body and you want to use the golden pouring medium, it's they're made for each other. Clearly, obviously, they're made. That's the green gold by Golden Fluids. I love that color. Now this one is a little tiny bit thin, but I'm okay with that because it tends to kind of get lost in pores. So my metallic colors I make a little bit thicker usually, especially the gold, because otherwise the gold just tends to kind of disappear. Now you see me just adding little squirts of water here and there, little drops to make everything the right consistency. The most important part, if you are thinking about your paints, is the consistency, and it's really hard to show. Some people say, oh, it leaves a trail or it leaves a mound. It is true, but as you get to know your paints, you can feel it as you stir. You can feel the resistance of the paint on your stick and literally tell that way. Now see what I'm doing here? I picked up other sticks and I'm checking all the consistencies. I want to make sure that, see, that one was a little thick. I needed to add a little bit of water. So I wanted to make sure that I'm having all my paints the same consistency, or as close as I can get them. That means that when I pour it out of the cup, they're all going to have equal play, except for the ones that I make thicker or thinner on purpose to get different effects. And you can learn what some of those effects are as you play with your paints. So this texture paint, oh yes, you can see me. I'm really having to work on this one. I'm pressing it up against the sides. It is a challenge to mix. I have arthritis. I've been a chef for 15, 16, 17 years. My hands are shot, so it's a challenge. Now this, see, I'm rubbing between my fingers. I can see little baby lumps in there. The lumps are not from the primary elements. I wanted you to know they're not from the Bling It. It's literally that texture paint that's causing that issue. So I decided the last moment I want to make a new color. So I take that Golden Fluid Gold Deep Iridescent, and then I'm going to add the Hansa Liquid Fluid Yellow, the Hansa Yellow Opaque, and watch how it brightens it up. See that? So now I have a lot of different tones going on, and that's one thing you want to look at. I organize all of my paints according to color and how I probably will want to layer them in the cup. Sometimes from dark to light, but in this case you can see I'm basically doing gray to turquoise, different shades of turquoise. Turquoise has green and blue in it, so that's going to be a transition color, and I've talked about transition colors. You should watch my video on how to avoid muddy pores. That's a great video on transition colors, and you'll see what I mean. If you have colors that don't go together, that will make mud, you need a transition color in between them, and that could either be something neutral like a white or a black or a gold, or you would need something that's a color in between those two colors to bridge the gap. So at the last minute here, I look over all of my colors and I see what I'm really missing is a high tone. So I have the low tones with the Payne's Gray and the turquoise, and I really don't have a super high tone, so I add more of the Hansa Yellow to that iridescent gold. Now watch how it just makes it totally pop. See that? And so suddenly now I have my high point with the white and that color, the midtones. and the low tones. And you need to include all of these in your paintings to create the illusion of depth. I will go more into that in a video later about depth because I think it's really important. So as always, thanks for watching, you guys. I want to show you the painting that I make with these beautiful peacock colors, and I will probably end up publishing that this weekend. So please stay tuned to my channel to see how I make this beauty. And always, I appreciate you watching and supporting my channel. There's a PayPal link in my description box if you'd like to support me. And have a great day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can make more art videos for you.